Right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Genuine African Safaris live, chatting to our current guests who are in the safari seat in Namibia. We're going to add them in quite quickly because as travel goes and African internet goes, they do not potentially have much connection. So we're going to launch right into it and welcome Chantel, Mila, and Irina.
Hello. Hi. How are you all doing out there?
Well,
How are you, Kim?
Very, very jealous of you guys over there.
I can imagine, yeah. We're feeling very privileged at the moment.
Yeah, we've been sitting in the office looking at your pictures, just being like, what? This is amazing. So Irina and Mila, you guys are the competition winners for our previous Genman competition from last year. You guys must have felt so excited when you got that email.
Yes, it was completely unexpected. I entered the competition and I didn't think much of it. And then a couple of weeks later, I got a messenger chat message. Yeah. And we were floored. I immediately sent my sister a message like, pack your bags, we're going to Africa.
Is this your first time to Africa?
It is.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, so exciting. And Namibia is a really, really special place and so varied, which we're going to talk about in a moment. I would like to welcome everybody who's watching. If you can pop your name in the comments and where you're watching from. And as we go along, if you have any questions, as long as we're connected with these guys in Namibia, please pop it in the comments as well, and we'll try and answer them for you. So we actually made you a little slideshow from the incredible pictures you've been sending us, and we were hoping you could talk us through some of the experiences that you've had. First of all, Chantel, I wanted to quickly ask, in terms of actually traveling in between places, and of course the question on everybody's lips is COVID protocols and logistics and safety, and I just wondered how that had been so far.
Everything's been really great. People seem to be following protocols quite strictly at lodges. When we're moving about the lodge, when we're not in our rooms, we're all wearing our masks. They're doing sanitizer everywhere for us. Moving, even the airport was quite efficient, I thought. Everything was managed well, temperatures, all of that. So it's actually been great. We haven't been delayed by it, but you can see that everybody is adhering to what they need to keep everybody safe.
And I think a lot of people are scared of traveling at the moment because they're afraid that it's going to be really difficult and slow and delayed and all these things. So it's wonderful to hear that it's possible and that it can be smooth.
Yeah, no, it's been absolutely fantastic. We haven't had any delays or issues. No.
And Irina and Mila, you guys have had Chantel as your private guide, which I'm sure has been incredible. How's it feel being your first time in Africa privately guided?
Well, first it was a self-drive, and then it was a guided trip, and we're so happy that we made that decision because it adds so much more value to the trip, because Chantal knows so much of the history, of the geology, of the animals. She spots things that we don't see. She tells anecdotes. We really have a great time here with her. So yeah. I think
Chantal is brilliant, and Africa is in her veins. So you guys have been very lucky to have her show you around Namibia. So let's see some of the pictures. If we can have the first slide, it's of you two ladies standing in very beautiful dresses on this very beautiful dune. And can you tell us where you were going, what you were doing, and how you were feeling?
Well, we were on the first sort of slope of Big Daddy. So we didn't climb Big Daddy all the way. It was in the
Sossusvlei area. Yeah.
The Sossusvlei area. Didn't climb in all the way. We went down the sides toward that vlei. But the climbing of it was really nice. We had actually brought comfortable clothing, like a pair of shorts and a top to move around in, and then Chantel persuaded us to wear the dresses because she was like, they'll look amazing with the sand.
And Irina made those dresses. Irina made those lovely dresses herself.
I did.
Please bring some home, Chantel. I would love to wear one.
Sorry, Kim, that was a visit to Dead Flay. So we climbed the dune and ran down. And Dead Flay is that area where you have the white clay that's really dried up and the dead trees. So the contrasts are really amazing for photographers. So even amateur photographers can take fantastic pictures. And
That's
it's
really
one of the jewels of Namibia, really one of the special spots on our planet, I think.
So I've been recently writing about Namibia, obviously for Genman, and I've recently written about Sossusvlei and Dead Flay, and it just makes me want to go there so much. So I'm even extra jealous because I've been living it virtually, and you guys are actually living it, which is very exciting. Okay, next slide. Right.
Okay, so that's the ghost town at Kolmanskop. Yeah.
Oh, I really love that.
Yeah.
I think not anywhere on the world, nowhere you can find a place like that.
Yeah.
So unique. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It's a truly unique town. This is the diamond town that once bigger diamonds were found further south. All the diamond production in this region ended, and so basically the town was abandoned and left for the desert to take it over. And we were lucky enough to do a nice tour there and move through some of these buildings that have just been taken over by the sand.
It must be so fascinating. And I mean, was it quite eerie, or is it just, were you the only ones there?
It was a little spooky, I think also because the wind was really strong when we were there. So you sort of heard the sound of the wind as well, and they tell you to beware of all the snakes because they have so many snakes there. So everywhere you're looking, you're kind of watching for puff adders and sidewinders and stuff. But certainly a very spooky atmosphere. And the house you can see there, that was the principal's house. Actually, one of the more basic homes in the town. The homes were quite beautiful, actually, as the people were quite affluent because of the diamonds.
Very rich area. Yeah, I remember reading about that. It's so weird looking at a space like that with being taken over by the desert and trying to imagine the lives that were once there.
Yes, yeah.
Really strange. But I think, you know, when you said about the snakes, I think that's the thing about Africa is you kind of assume nothing and expect anything, and that's the thrill as well in all its terrains.
Well, we were kind of hoping we'd see one.
We've been looking for scorpions as well.
Although you guys are very adventurous, I'm going to get there just now. You've done all sorts of very adventurous things, so that actually doesn't surprise me. Okay, so can we have the next slide, please? So what I really love about your trip is that you experienced wildlife, you experienced adrenaline, you experienced history, as well as connecting with the local community. And we would love you to tell us a little bit about this.
So this was the activity, the Bushman Walk, at our first lodge we were in, the Zebra Kalahari Lodge. And it's a demonstration of these young men of how the San people used to live. They don't live like this anymore because apparently they don't have enough space to do it like that anymore. But so they keep the traditions alive for the tourists, and and they demonstrated how they hunt, how they find food, how they store water for the dry season. It was amazing. I have seen the film The Gods Must Be Crazy when I was a little girl. And to see the language being performed. They are very much storytellers. So the body language is also amazing, that goes with the language.
Yes.
And it was like an hour, but it felt like it was over in 5 minutes. Yeah.
And I think it's such an important, you know, even if they don't live that way anymore, it's so important to maintain the rituals and traditions and uphold the culture of old in a country, as well as seeing that tourism can bring in revenue and support local communities. So through upholding these traditions, they are supporting their families, and you know, which is really important for impactful tourism. So well done for going to experience that. When the slide came up, you all went, so it must have really made an impact on you.
Yes. And, they're such jokers. The sand people, they love to make jokes, and they're constantly jostling each other and joking with each other. And we had just seen a demonstration of them shooting their bows at a tree in the distance. And they were all giving each other grief about who missed and who can't shoot anymore straight. And so they're just such wonderful people to spend time with, because they just have fun, and enjoy life. It's just lovely to spend time with them.
That's awesome. I think the next slide actually has a picture of them shooting.
Yes.
So they obviously make their own bows.
Yes.
Yeah. And did they explain to you how or anything like that?
Yeah, so they have different types of wood that they use. Obviously, you need some flexibility, but you also need strength. So the mangeti tree, for instance, in the Kalahari is useful for that. And they make the rope themselves as well for the bow from the mother-in-law's tongue, which is a plant which you find in the Kalahari. You scrape off the outer layer, and then it's a lot of fiber in the center. And they sort of pull that apart, and then they twirl it on their legs. Usually they roll it on their legs to actually form the string. And that's what they actually use to string the bows with as well.
That's so clever. And what did they use for poison? Did they have poison on the end of the arrows?
Yes, in this case they didn't have, but in traditional methods they would use a bone tip for the arrow, and then they would put poison, usually from the beetle that feeds on the Euphorbia damarana, which is a milky latex plant and highly toxic. And the beetles, the grubs of a certain beetle, feed on that plant, and so they would grind that up. And they used various different poisons as well. They used the sap as well to mix with the dried beetles, so that it sticks better, and it actually absorbs into the bone, because as you know, bone is quite absorbent. So the poison is really laced on the tip of that arrow. So, and then once you shoot the animal, there'll be some time before the animal dies, and they can track it later and then bring the family over to the feast.
Wow, very clever. And this is why it's called Safari Guide Chronicles, because they are chronicles of knowledge. Chantel has just shown us. Okay, so what is the next experience these guys have had? This is so exciting. A little bit of adrenaline. Please tell us about where you jumped, how you felt, what it looked like.
So we were in swakopmund, and we already saw it in the itinerary that it was possible to do it there, and I was immediately like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. So Irina needed a little bit of persuasion. Yeah. Once Chantel said that she did it 3 times already, then we were like, okay, let's do it. It was really great. The plane was really nice, as you can see. I was full of adrenaline. I wasn't scared at all. I really liked it. I even told the guy to go down faster in circles, and I even raced Irina to the to the ground. I was there first, although she jumped first. So yeah, it was amazing.
And now, Irina, would you recommend it to someone else? Because I haven't done it yet. I'm really scared. Would you recommend?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things you need to have done at least once.
Yeah.
It's like a bucket list thing. And although I will probably never do it again, I'm very glad that I did do it, because that feeling of jumping out of a plane, those first few seconds are just like, oh God, what have I done?
Every cell in your body must be like, what is happening?
Once you're falling actually, and you get to look around, and the cameraman is like right there, right beside you. It's amazing.
And what were you jumping over? What area were you in?
Just outside Swakopmund, so you can actually see the Atlantic coast and the riverbed, the dry Swakop riverbed, and then Walvis, and the dune belt that runs between Walvis and Swakop you can also see. Yeah. So you actually get a scenic flight on the way up, because it takes about half an hour to get to 10,000 feet. And then you actually have the whole view of the desert. And of course, once the chute is open, it's a little bit slowed down, and then you can kind of look around, because when you're free falling, you don't have time to look around.
And they spin as well, so
You guys are ticking off a lot of amazing bucket list experiences. I mean, seeing a deserted town being eaten up by the desert, jumping out of planes over the desert and the sea, that contrast must have been really beautiful. And then some wildlife experiences, I think, on the next slide.
There we go.
This was actually today.
Yes, this was today.
So I was messaging Chantel this morning and just chatting about meeting up later, and she was like, "Oh, we're just off on a game drive," and she came back and sent me these pictures, and I was just like, very different reality, sitting in the office waiting for pictures, and you guys have been seeing that. So was this your first game drive in the itinerary this morning?
We went yesterday as well.
Yeah.
Yesterday was the first one. Yeah.
So where are you? If you can just explain to our listeners, where are you in Namibia at the moment?
We are in the northern part of Namibia, so just about 8 kilometers south of Etosha's southern Anderson Gate. So sort of Etosha, kind of in the central part of Etosha, just below at the south of that. So our camp is just outside of the park, but it's also set on a private concession. So we have some giraffes and antelope and other species on the lodge property as well. But then we're literally 8 kilometers from Etosha National Park. So, and they just have this amazing array of wildlife in a really beautiful and unique setting as well. Quite different to Kruger or Chobe or Kwai regions or the East Africa. Very, very different. Very dry at the moment, which makes it very nice for us because we can see the animals easily through the drier vegetation. And as well, they have to come to the permanent water holes, because it is so dry. So we basically go from waterhole to waterhole and look at what's come for a drink.
And Etosha is Namibia's most famous or largest national park?
No, I think Namib is now bigger, because if you include the Sperrgebied that's been more recently added to it. So some of the old restricted areas became national parks. So I think the Namib is actually now bigger. But certainly Etosha is almost 23,000 square kilometers, so it's certainly very large.
Okay. And Irina and Mila, what has been your favorite wildlife sighting? And did you have a bucket list sighting where you like, when we get to Africa, I really hope I see a rhino? Or
obviously we wanted to see the big five, but then this morning we spotted the cheetah.
Yeah.
So that was really unique.
The big cats were on the top of our list.
Top of our list. Yeah, we cat people. So when we saw
so
the cheetah,
is a whole different type of cat. If you're cat people, this is not the kind of cat you're used to. I think on the next slide is a picture of the cheetah you saw. There we go, under the tree.
Under the tree there, yeah. So he wasn't very close, but we could see him very good with binoculars, and with a bit of zoom, we could get in and get him as well.
I always feel like seeing a cheetah sighting is extremely lucky. I've lived in Africa I was about to say my age, for a long time, and and I've never seen a cheetah in the wild. So you've done some things in the last few days that I've never done, and I live on this continent. So I'm inspired by you guys, which is wonderful. So you've seen, out of the big five, what have you seen?
We've seen the elephant and the rhinoceros. We were very lucky today as well. We saw 3 different rhinos, the black rhinoceros. So that's been amazing for me, especially considering the current plight of the rhinoceros in southern Africa with overpoaching and that. So that was really special to see the populations doing good here, and that they're being protected and that. So, but we saw elephants.
The conservation and protection of animals in Namibia is strong, yes?
Yes, yeah. The people in this country really care about their wildlife, and they work hard to protect it, yeah.
And I think that's another thing, obviously wanting to bring more travelers like Irina and Mila, and reminding people that the travel, again, helps donate and fund conservation initiatives in order to keep the wildlife that you get to see safe.
Exactly.
And Irina and Mila, are you guys more aware of that now that you have come here?
Yeah, definitely. Also because we're tourists, we're from Europe, we don't see those animals in their natural habitats. So your initial reaction is, oh, I wish I could pet it or I could feed it, and then
Yeah.
you understand why you can't and why it's important that people don't. So I think
Yeah.
that's been the very useful experience for us. Yeah.
So it's exciting as well as educational, as well as bucket list ticking, as well as probably a little bit terrifying sometimes. I think that's the end of it. Oh, wait, before we end our slideshow, this is a really awesome bird picture. Chantel, what are those we're looking at?
Okay, so those are 2 tawny eagles. Yeah, that was a really, really nice sighting. The one was first just sitting on the stump, and then the other one was sitting on the other side of the road on the ground. And as we pulled up to take the first one's picture, the other one just flew in and joined him. So it was yeah. Big, they're nice big eagles. Yeah, beautiful tawny eagles.
And do you think this is a mating pair?
I would assume as much. Yeah.
Okay. The other bird that I didn't get to put in the slideshow I saw was one of my favorite. It's the secretary bird.
Yes. And we had such a fantastic sighting. Yeah.
He came very
so close to her. He was sitting down by a waterhole, and then we just parked and stopped, and I got so excited. It's a secretary bird. And then the next minute it got up and it walked right past our vehicle. Just was close enough to touch. It was just absolutely amazing.
So they must feel very comfortable in the human presence.
Yeah, Etosha animals are very habituated. They, this park is older than 100 years. It was established a long time ago, and the animals grow up with vehicles. So it's really a special experience because you can actually get quite close without disturbing them in any way. And they just do their thing around you. You sit, you switch off your car, and you just let them do their thing. And it's absolutely amazing.
And have there been a lot of, that's the end of our slideshow. Thank you, Background Fairy. You can remove the slideshow. Have you been around a lot of other tourists, or have you had places to yourself mainly? What has been the atmosphere of travel where you've been?
Irina, you want to?
It's been a bit of a mixed bag. Like the lodge we're staying in now has some other tourists, but like the lodge we had at Kleinhaus Vista, we went to the main lodge for breakfast with where the other tourists were, but then we had our own little lodge up against the mountain wall, where we were totally secluded. So, and that's actually what we like most about Namibia, is that it's just such an outstretched country. You can just be on the road for hours and not see another car, and that's something you don't experience in Europe ever. So that's been amazing. The feeling of isolation really heightens the impressions you get from the trip. Yeah.
I haven't thought about that because we're more used to space here, but that must be an incredible experience to come across such vast areas. And I think, and you guys can correct me on this because I've never been to Namibia, but the scenery is quite different in each place. So it's vast, but it keeps you captivated.
Yeah,
definitely. Constantly changing. Yeah.
Now, from what I understand is, so you won the competition and then you added on to your itinerary. You decided to extend.
Yes.
So what did you add? Which part did you add on and why?
We added 3 nights here at the Etosha Safari Lodge. We were thinking maybe this is the only trip we'll ever make to Africa. I don't think it will.
Now that you've been here, you'll come back.
We were like, if it's the only trip we ever get to make to Africa, we need to go to a
wildlife park.
A wildlife park and have those experiences, those game drives. And so Rachel and Erica suggested to do the add-on, and we were very glad they did. We didn't really hesitate for that long.
And also, you need at least 2 weeks, and I think preferably 3 weeks to do a part of Africa, I think. we're already sad that it's
It's almost done.
it's almost done.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you sit in the car also a lot because you have to travel from one place to the other, but the car rides are amazing as well because of what the landscapes that you see, and we have fun in the car as well. But that adds days to your journey. So I think we're pretty happy that we extended it from 10 days to 14 days. Yeah, definitely.
And that time in the car, like you say, it just gives you so much more of an idea of what it's like in the country as a whole, you know. And there's so much to explore. Again, like you say, you need at least 2 or 3 weeks, so you can absorb the things that you see in the places that you go, rather than rush through. And hopefully now, when people start traveling again, and thank you for being the pioneers of sort of post-COVID travel, if we're allowed to call it that, that they will spend a little bit more time in a place to really understand its people as well. There are some questions here. Actually, it's Erica. Erica is asking, did you have apple pie in solitaire?
Yes, we did. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, we actually had apple pie in Solitaire and Helmeringshausen.
Yeah.
So I always have people try both because there's 2 people that claim that they make the best in Namibia. So we tried both.
And?
We all agree Helmeringshausen is better.
Yeah. Without it.
What a wonderful thing to now know. I mean, and then from your other safari specialist, Rachel, she has said you can never come to Africa only once. It gets in your blood, which is totally true.
Very true, Rachel.
I'm going to ask you ladies one last question, and then we are going to go. But if you could pick a favorite thing within the itinerary, one thing in your trip that you would be a place, an activity, a meal, an apple pie, what would it be?
Oh, it's so difficult. Well, I think I'll say the dunes and that play. Because just walking up those dunes, you feel like you're in the desert and even another part of the world. It's just, you're in Namibia, but then you're just again in such a different place because we went from mountains to like dry, flat land, and then we went to dunes, and and then running down the dune to that play. I really like that moment.
Yeah.
Irina?
For me, it was the Dune Star camp. So we had one night at Dune Star camp, and I woke up quite naturally at 5 a.m. And so we had rolled our bed on a terrace outside. So we were sleeping under the stars. And by 5 a.m., the moon had set. So there was no light from the moon, and all the stars in the sky and part of the Milky Way. That was also something out of this world, literally. Something that you never see, at least not in Belgium, because there's so much light pollution. So yeah, I just got up and started taking pictures, and just standing outside in the dark. It was quite chilly, but just standing there and watching the sky, that was really my 30 minutes of perfection. Yeah.
Sleeping under the African stars is something so spectacular. And again, coming from Europe, where you don't get that, it's almost like a Serengeti of stars up there. It's just like you get enveloped. It's whenever I've slept under the stars, I don't want to close my eyes. I really don't want to go to sleep because it's just so beautiful. And then also all the night sounds. I'm getting so excited. And I think that's the beautiful thing about Namibia, is like you were saying, there's such contrast. You guys went to the sea, the desert, the deserted town, and now you're in a wildlife, you're in a national park, which is just such a varied experience. So I hope you go back to Belgium and tell everybody to come to Africa. To Africa.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been so wonderful. Chantel, it's been so nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too, Kim. Before we go, can the girls maybe say goodbye to you? And I just want to introduce you to Simpson. from
Yes,
Gondwana,
absolutely.
from the Etosha Safari Lodge, who's been so wonderful.
Thanks, girls. That was so lovely to meet you. Hi,
Say hey.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, we're good. How are you?
I'm very well.
So Simpson is one of the managers here at Etosha Safari Lodge. And, you know, I can see that he just runs an amazing team. All the staff are absolutely stunning. They're so friendly, so efficient. You know, they're helpful. You just feel that they are so happy to have you here, and they're so welcoming. And Simpson's been bending over backwards to try and get us sorted with the Wi-Fi connection to make sure that this live could happen. And then, of course, Gondwana collection has been instrumental in putting this whole trip together, because we stayed at quite a few of your properties. So so I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you so much for the great work you've done.
Yeah, no, like when Chantel told me about the live session that they were going to have, and the issue that she was scared of. So I asked myself, like, here at Gondwana, we're all about our guest experience. So I had to go an extra mile just to make sure that at least we get that required data just for them, so that they can have this session.
Thank you so much. You guys, truly, like Chantel says, we couldn't have done this trip without you, and we'll definitely be recommending Gondwana and sending more clients your way.
That would be very nice. Thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right, before I end the chat, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has been watching today. Please like and share to keep the travel dream alive, showing that travel is possible. Chantel is waiting to take you on the next trip.
Yes.
Come. There is another competition coming up very soon. So as you can see from Irina and Mila, competition winners and have had the time of their lives, please watch out on our Genman Safari pages to enter to potentially have the time of your life in Africa with Genman African Safaris. So thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful Tuesday evening or day, and enjoy the rest of your time in Namibia.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening in Cape Town.